you're going to gain an audience. You believe the audience on the right is bigger. Those sort of tech bros, those folks are somehow going to come over to
what does that ever happen?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down Cenk Uygur's cringe-worthy appearance on Don Lemon's show, where he doubles down on his bizarre mission to reach MAGA voters. Spoiler, it's just as embarrassing as you'd expect. Also, quick rant. We hit 5K subs before YouTube nuked our channel for misinformation without even telling us what we did wrong. Total BS. We're back now, but we need your help. Hit that subscribe button so we can rebuild and keep calling out the nonsense. Let's get into it.
I've been sitting back watching, especially over the holidays and into the first of the year, of all of this controversy surrounding you and the Young Turks and Anna, whatever. And I said, what is going on? Why is this a matter of, are the leftists eating their own? Why is the left after you, Cenk? I would think the right would be after you, but now the left is after you.
Yeah, so a couple of things here. Number one, there is no the left, right? There's a wide spectrum of beliefs, and what you see online is a little bit different than what you see in the real world. And the real left is basically the core of the Democratic voters. So secondly, I get it because we're in very divided times, enormously partisan, and the two camps are supposed to hate each other. That's the groove that we got into. And the minute you say, well, maybe we shouldn't hate each other, people go, wait a minute, are you selling out? Are you a bad guy? Are you going to their camp? But it is definitely a little bit more ironic for the left to do that because we're supposed to be the open-hearted.
Isn't that legit to say that? Because especially considering if you were talking about the right, let's just say we were, I mean, even like Bush, like when the right was, when the real Republicans were really in charge. You would say, okay, all right, so he's listening to the right. What is there to listen to the right now? It's the MAGA party, which doesn't care about, they have no principles, they have no morals, and the only person they listen to is their dear leader. So why engage with them? I saw you with Charlie Kirk. Let me play this with Charlie Kirk. You were at, what is this thing, America First, and I'm like, why on earth?
America Fest, yeah.
America Fest. Why on earth is Cenk Uygur sitting down with Charlie Kirk? Here it is.
I knew you guys were for real in fighting against the establishment when I started going on right-wing shows and I would say something negative about Mitch McConnell. And when I did that in the past, what I would get back is, oh, no, Mitch McConnell's great. Pelosi's terrible, but Mitch McConnell's great.
Let's do that here. What do you guys think of Mitch McConnell?
Okay, so then, but why Charlie Kirk? We know who Charlie Kirk is.
Yeah. So let's break this one down. So first off, I think that your fundamental premise is actually wrong. And that is why there's this heated debate, argument, conversation around it. So what I said there is exactly right, in my opinion. And so based on my experience. So when I would go on right-wing shows in the past, I'd get a wall of propaganda and talking points. And I knew what the talking points were going to be ahead of time. I could tell you before I went on air, and they would always give you the same predictable Fox News talking points. And it was like talking to a wall. It was totally pointless. Now I've gone on dozens of right-wing shows, and they all have slightly different opinions. I think today the right-wing base is in some ways, I get what you're saying about it, in some ways they're worse, but in some ways I think it's better than in the past. And I get that I'm seeing that before others do because I've had that experience of interacting with them so much. And I get that people look at it and go, oh, that can't be right. MAGA's all bad. And if Cenk is telling me that there's parts of where we might agree or parts where they might not be bad, then I guess Cenk must be one of them. And you know the Dave Rubin track, so people get like as soon as
I ask you about that.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah,
and we can talk about Dave Rubin because that is the. Anyways, so let's talk about this. A couple things. You said you think my premise is wrong. You said, let's start with that, and then there's another thing of what you said. So how am I wrong?
So in the old days, they were just single-minded. To that Mitch McConnell point, if I said Mitch McConnell, Dick Cheney, whoever else, they would have been like, no way, they're the greatest thing on earth.
Okay, so that's the premise. You stated that. Okay, you said because you think,
So,
but then you said they are different than they were before, or better than they were before?
In some ways. And so here's why. If I went to go on Fox News 5 years ago, or really any right-wing show, and I said, hey guys, why don't we do paid family leave? They'd be like, boo, get out of here. That's not in favor of corporations. Shut up, or whatever. Now, they wouldn't say that it's not in favor of corporations. They would have been fed a talking point of corporate propaganda about how paid family leave isn't good for moms, even though it's great for moms, right? Now, when I go talk about paid family leave, we have a real conversation. Does every show agree? No, but almost. So wait, if the right-wing shows are agreeing on paid family leave, what world are we in? So the one school of thought is, no, Cenk, you're naive. They're all lying en masse, even though they're really not known for lying. They're known for sharing their opinions, no matter how crazy they are.
I think they're known for lying.
The right is known for lying. Full stop. That's their entire brand. From election fraud conspiracies to rewriting history in real time, dishonesty isn't a bug in right-wing media. It's the feature. So when Cenk Uygur tries to say, no, they're not known for lying, they're just sharing their opinions, it's like saying a con artist isn't scamming you. They're just expressing themselves. Come on, Cenk. These people aren't engaging in good faith discussions. They're manufacturing reality for political gain. But somehow, Cenk is out here trying to convince us that the MAGA base has changed, that they've evolved from being a monolithic wall of propaganda into a nuanced movement that actually listens to different perspectives. Really? Because last time I checked, they still worship a convicted felon, reject basic science, and scream, rigged election, every time their guy loses. If that's progress, what does failure look like? Then there's the Charlie Kirk debacle. Cenk proudly takes the stage at America Fest, home of the most brainwashed MAGA fanatics, and acts shocked that they hate Mitch McConnell, as if that's proof of something meaningful. Of course they hate Mitch McConnell. They don't think he's right-wing enough. These people want pure authoritarianism, not a discussion about policy differences. But Cenk takes their anger at GOP leadership as a sign of progress. And here's the kicker. Why is he doing this? He gets mad that people compare him to Dave Rubin, but honestly, this is the Dave Rubin playbook. Start engaging with the right under the guise of just having conversations. Frame criticism from the left as proof that they are the real problem, and suddenly you've got an audience that hates you slightly less, and that's the gateway to the grift. So here's the real question. Is Cenk Uygur actually naive enough to believe MAGA is softening, or is he just looking for a new audience to keep himself relevant? Let me know what you think in the comments.
But
What's that?
I think they're known for lying.
But that's interesting. I mean, look, one of the principal complaints we had on the left about MAGA was they say crazy things. They say things we don't agree with. They say things that are politically incorrect. So it's not like they're shy about sharing their controversial opinions. So, and remember, separate out the voters from the leaders. Like Trump, of course, known for lying. Of course, right? As much as anyone is known for lying, Trump is known for it. But, and do they believe that too much? Absolutely. But did our side believe in the absolute horse crap that Joe Biden and Democratic leadership have been peddling for the last 20 years? Yeah, we believed it way too much. And to the point where the guy's, brain is falling out of his head and we could all see it on screen. And our side was like, no, it's not. He's young and dynamic. He always believed Democratic leadership. And my point is, guys, this is a whole new world where there's new media. In the old days, the media drilled the talking points into your head. So if you watched MSNBC or you watched Fox News, you were going to have one way of thinking. Now, since they're watching all different shows, they can say, hey, you know what? I want mass deportation of immigrants and we hate it. There's only two genders and we hate it. The left wing does not agree with those things. But then they'll turn around and say, but we agree with you on war, or we agree with you on paid family leave. So what I'm trying to get people to see is take the win. Now, if you say, hey, Cenk, they're lying en masse, even though, again, they're not really known for that, and I don't believe you, and it'll never happen, no problem. We're going to find out. Right?
I'm going to have to take notes because there's so much. Look, The thing is that I believe that you should go into the lion's den, right? I truly believe that. But I don't think that you always have to go in certain ways and to certain venues. And if you do go into the lion's den, then I don't think that you go in there now. It feels to me that you are praising your praise of the right outweighs your criticism of the left, and you're on the left, right? So I can see criticizing the left. I think they're soft. I think, as my producer always says, they're bringing a knife to a bazooka fight, a butter knife to a bazooka fight, and they need to adopt some of how the right operates, especially politically and with messaging, etc. But I don't believe that you always have to go in there and put yourself in the position for people to make fun of you. You have to understand, seriously, for the right and the left to make fun of you. Those folks, when you go in there, those folks are going to, as soon as you leave, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to lie about what you said. They're going to put out headlines. Cenk loses his cool or lies about such and such. And they're just such dishonest brokers that I don't understand sometimes why you engage. And I'll talk about some of the platforms you engage on. I'm not sure why you do it. But I think David Pakman, in his interview with you, really sort of got to the heart of it. I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and then I have a question for you after it. Here it is.
We're worried about the power of the establishment and elites, the recalcitrant centers of power that are corrupt, and we're sick of them and all of that. We would identify the problem with almost the exact same language that the crowd at Amfest would. The problem is when you say, okay, left-wing populist, what's your solution? We talk about social democracy, curbing corporate power, using regulations. They will still say the solution is tax cuts for the rich and corporations and all the same stuff. So my instinct is, and tell me if I'm wrong. I want to hear, I'm open to having my mind change. My thought is, even if we really...
Cenk Uygur's got a bigger issue. His obsession with winning over MAGA while constantly downplaying the damage they've done. He wants us to believe that because they might support things like paid family leave or oppose certain wars, we should take the win. But at what cost? These same people want mass deportations, attacks on LGBTQ+ rights, and to erode democracy itself. Maybe focus less on the one or two policy overlaps and more on the fascism they openly support. And here's the thing. When Cenk does these right-wing media tours, it's not winning over anyone. He's just giving them another punching bag. The moment he leaves, they mock him, twist his words, and frame him as weak. It's the Dave Rubin pipeline all over again. Start cozying up to the right, complain that the left is too mean, and suddenly, your new audience is a bunch of reactionaries who tolerate you at best. David Pakman nails it. MAGA might agree on some problems, but when it comes to solutions, they double down on tax cuts for the rich and deregulation. There's no middle ground here. So here's the real question. Does Cenk actually believe in this outreach, or is he just desperate for relevance? Let me know what you think in the comments.
We were in agreement about the problem. Once we get to solutions, we're not even at all on the same page.
Yeah.
No, I think you are wrong.
So this is where I agree with him, especially considering what just happened a couple days ago, recently. And that is the inauguration. And you see, when you said, you talk about corporate power and all of that, you see Donald Trump with the richest people in the world on the front row cozying up to power. And those MAGA folks, the shows that you're going on, they have no problem with it. They love it. They support all the folks who are up there, including their dear leader. So do you feel like, maybe I should change my stance on this, considering, if you just take a look at a photograph from the inauguration?
Nope, not even close. So let's break this down. Look, so I was on Piers Morgan this morning, and I get into it with a very, fundamentalist right winger, right? And he says the bishop that called out the Donald Trump on Inauguration Day is satanic because she's a female bishop. I light into him. We get into this huge fight, right? And then at the end, Piers asks us about oligarchy. And I explain how, hey, whether you're populist right, populist left, watch out for the donor class because they're not on your side. And This guy who we've been yelling at each other for about 40 minutes straight goes, oh yeah, he's right about that. Okay, so now when I go on to other right-wing shows, is it perfect overnight? Of course not. Are they left-wingers? Of course not. That's why we have such huge disagreements on social issues and even on some economic issues. But when you get to the corporate oligarchy, you see Steve Bannon in a giant fight with Elon Musk, and you see Steve Bannon saying, raise corporate taxes, raise tax on the rich. So now I'm not saying that you then go do a bear hug of Steve Bannon and say Steve Bannon's an angel, Steve Bannon's right about everything. That's crazy. Of course not.
But the thing is, saying that now.
Hold on, Don. Let me ask you something back. When you see Steve Bannon ripping into Elon Musk, do you think it's all theater and he's lying and they're actually best friends?
I don't know any of that. I think that is where Steve Bannon is now. I think that is where, maybe a Charlie Kirk is. And I didn't really even know about a lot of these figures when I was in legacy media because it just didn't rise to the level. They never sort of got there. But now, Steve Bannon, of course, obviously. But it's where they are now. And as long as you're going, I have no problem with you going again into the lion's den. But as long as you realize that we're in a different time, and I think that you do. And by the way, let me just preface this by saying, and I've told you this before, I really respect what you've done in this whole independent media thing, right? What you've built here. And so for me to sit back and look at you and say, well, is he foregoing his principles for the sake of subscribers, ad dollars, money, then that makes him no different than the corporate media that he despises, that he fights against, okay? But if you're going in there and you're understanding that these people are not honest brokers, that's where Steve Bannon is now. Steve Bannon may be different in 5 minutes because they really have no core about some of these things.
So Don, two things. Number one, people are saying two things at the same time that make no logical sense. They say, oh, your audience is leaving you because you're not radical left enough anymore, and you're not. You have to call them Nazis at all times. If you don't, we're going to leave you. And
I don't think people are saying that. I don't think people are. I think that, look, obviously you're being hyperbolic, right? I don't think people are saying
no, I'm not being hyperbolic. That's literally what they're saying. Yeah. So then, and then they say, oh, you're doing it for the money and the grift. So then which one is it? Is our subscribers going up or are they going down? Are we doing it for the money or are we doing it because we're principled and are willing to risk paying subscribers? I'll tell you what the truth is. We've lost paying subscribers, a good amount of them, okay? And that is the exact opposite of a grift. That's people saying we are principled and we're going to bring you real news, even if it costs us dearly. We didn't take any money from Kamala Harris's campaign. It costs us dearly financially, but we do it to be honest and principled.
Okay. So I understand that, but I think people think that you believe, this is what they believe, that you're going to gain an audience. You believe the audience on the right is bigger. Those sort of tech bros. Those folks are somehow going to come over to
what has that ever happened? But Don, when has that ever happened?
It hasn't happened because corporate media has tried it, cable news has tried it, and it doesn't work.
And I understand the landscape of media overall. I would argue maybe better than anybody does. Certainly online media. I've been in this game longer than anyone else, longest running show. So I would never be naive enough to think, oh my God, I bet if we just switch after 23 years of being left wing to being right wing, that all of a sudden we'll get a larger right-wing audience? That's crazy. No, what we're doing, whether you agree or disagree with it, is courageous. We are challenging our own audience. And Don, more than that, these algorithms punish you if you go 1% from the extremes. Mm-hmm. And so we're willing to risk all of that to be honest with our audience. And I don't see anybody else doing that.
Okay.
Cenk Uygur is out here desperately trying to convince us that he's playing some kind of 4D chess by engaging with the right. He wants us to believe that MAGA is shifting, that there's this new, more open version of the right that's willing to have real conversations about corporate power and economic populism. Meanwhile, the actual right wing is out here cheering on billionaires, pushing for mass deportations, and attacking democracy itself. But sure, Cenk, tell me more about how Steve Bannon wanting to tax the rich is some kind of breakthrough moment. Then we get to the most delusional part. Cenk trying to claim this isn't about money and that he's losing subscribers because he's just too principled. Look, corporate media has tried this exact playbook before, pivoting right to chase a new audience, and it never works. MAGA doesn't want debate, they want loyalty. And if they sense even the slightest pushback, they're out. Cenk keeps saying this isn't a grift, but let's be real. If his new strategy actually worked, he wouldn't be out here begging people to believe it's not about the money. So here's the real question. Is Cenk Uygur genuinely convinced that engaging with the right will accomplish something, or is this just his last-ditch effort to stay relevant? Let me know what you think in the comments. This is Cole Talk, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and help us reach our first 100 subscribers.